Hello. So today I thought I'd work on something a little bit different for an hour or so, and I thought it could be an interesting little video. So when I was out and about shopping on out and about when I was shopping on Sendico looking for some Swan stuff, I came across this copy of Final Fantasy, and it's a complete in-box copy with everything in it. So you've got your inner section, you've got manual plus some original kind of Japanese instructions and stuff. Not sure what all of this means. Got a little pin cleaning thing. Maybe I'll translate it and find out what it actually says, but no idea. And all of the original Japanese manual, which I'm sure is really useful, tells you a lot of stuff. And then you got the original cart and a little card case. And I thought what I'd do today is make a translated version of this so that it's useful for English speaking people. I've already got a boxed copy of this, but I saw it and I thought, it is really nice, and I'm sure someone over here would quite like that. So I'm going to show you it real quick in my Swan. So as we boot the game up, you can see everything's in Japanese. So it's really, well, it's kind of impossible to play or to know what you're doing. Everything's Japanese. Anyway, so Final Fantasy being quite narrative heavy, not great to try and pick up a Swan and play one. And of course, with no English titles, everything is in Japanese. So the plan is, with this one, is to make an English version. Now, if I open up this cart, if I can find the right screwdriver, I was prepared, I thought, but not. So let's get this open. Now, the original PCB for this particular cart looks like this. It's a ROM, SRAM, a Bandai mapper. This is a 2003 mapper, which I'll show you under the scope once I put the light back on, but put the light down to make the video a bit nicer. This is kind of like some sort of custom Bandai chip. I can't think what it's called off the top of my head, but at first even, I thought this was like some sort of EEPROM because it's got the same sort of pinout, but it's not. And then you've got your battery. So battery, obviously, Final Fantasy saves to SRAM. SRAM needs a battery to keep it alive to maintain the save. So, excuse me. What we're going to do first is we're just going to pull out the battery. And I normally do this with just a blade. And let's see what sort of life that battery's got in it first. Normally, when I get Swan games, they've normally got good batteries. Pretty much everything has. So this has got 3.24 volts. Put this over here so you can see. There you go, 3.24 on the wrong way round. Positive top, 3.241 volts. So battery in that one's good. And the idea is I've got this bag of WonderSwan goodies that I use for making English versions of WonderSwan games. And in here, the original mask ROM obviously can't be reprogrammed, but these chips here are pin compatible bar one pin. And the one pin is these. I'll show you when we make it, but effectively to turn this chip on, the top right pin must be pulled high, whereas this chip, the top right pin is low. So that's okay, because what we can do is where the VCC comes in, we can just run a jumper wire from VCC to pull the pin high, which will allow this chip to work on this board. So this chip here, we will program in, I've already put one in here actually, we'll program in our T56 programmer. And yeah, so the way to do this is grab the original Japanese ROM file, and then some dedicated folk out there have made English translations of the game. So you can take those patches, incorporate them into the ROM, write the ROM, which I'll show you, and replace the chip. So I think the next thing we're going to do is I'll take a pause on the video at this point, and I'll jump over into XG Pro, and we'll show you the writing of the ROM. Okay, so here we are in XG Pro, and we've got our T56 all plugged in and ready to go. And all we need to do here is we're going to load in our copy of Final Fantasy, and we're going to pick our chip type up the top here, which we've already done. And this is, if we look at the ASCII here, we've got PP ... and then a bracket, but that'll be important later. Well, important, maybe not. It depends, because some of these ROMs, once you've written them, it fails to verify the ROM. A lot of them just work. So sometimes you've got to verify the ROM yourself. So if this writes and verifies the ROM, then we're good to go. If it writes and fails to verify, then we should verify it ourselves. So we'll just wait until this finishes, and then we'll check that. Okay, so that's finished, and we can see that it failed to verify the ROM. Okay, so what we need to do now then is we're going to turn our programmer off and turn it back on. And we're just going to load in a different ROM for a second. So if we look at the ASCII values for the for the first Final Fantasy ROM, it was PP ... and a bracket. So we'll just load a random game in. Now let's read the ROM from our chip. Okay, there we go. And you'll see the ASCII values up here, and the ROM data has changed. And this looks like the PP ... bracket. So that's our Final Fantasy ROM. Okay, so with our ROM written and everything done over in XG Pro, we're back over onto our little soldering station, where we are going to pull off the old ROM chip and swap the ROM chips over. So for this, I need a couple of pairs of tweezers. We will grab our hot air station, and we want it about 380 maybe. And we'll get our soldering iron heating up as well. That doesn't need to be 415. Go 380 on that as well. And we're just going to remove this ROM first of all. So let's do that. Believe it or not, these carts take quite a lot of heat. You'd think because they're small, they heat up and the ROM will come off really quickly. But from experience, that's pretty much not the case. When you're doing this, you want to try and keep the air moving quite a bit. Because the battery holder's got some plastic in it, and you don't want to melt that. And if you stay still too long, the white strip at the bottom of the cart likes to turn brown. So my test cart, where I've done so much work and many ROM swaps on it, has got, oh, there we go. Fantastic. So there we go, that's that off. Okay, so there's our original ROM off, which is a mask ROM over here. And this is our new ROM chip. So I think what we're going to do first is just grab our soldering iron here, just clean the tip real quick. Cool. And let's get some light on this, and we can come in on this a bit. Okay. So there's actually quite a lot of solder and whatnot on this already, and given that it's kind of a really old board, it should be leaded. I'm just looking for my reel of solder at the moment, which of course if I was more organised I would have had out already. Where is it? I always put it in here, but I can't seem to find it. There it is. Okay. So just a few of these need a little touch up. So that when we put the ROM chip back on, it's going to look all good. Cool. So just adding a little bit of solder to some of them, but it's not that important because, like I say, it's all good solder because these games are old. So whack some of that on, and then literally all we want to do is line up our new ROM chip. Do that roughly. Start getting some heat into it. Sorry, it's a bit hard to keep you guys in shot while also keep this moving, and because the board likes to move a little bit and you just got to go with it sometimes. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now let's come up here, give these top ones a nice. That looks good. These bottom ones. Cool. Okay. That's looking good. So then we're just going to come in here with some IPA. Maybe a couple of cotton buds if we need them. And we're going to give this board a little clean up. But yeah, this board's still really quite hot. So what we got here? I mean, I can tell you that they're all quite nicely soldered, but we can go back over them and just give them a little touch up if we want. But I mean, everything here is looking good. And on the bottom, again, lined up quite nicely. We'll just hold it by this chip for a second. Yep, yep, yep. Let's try some in the middle. Yep, yep. Okay. Yeah, they're all fine. So the next thing we need to do is we need to take the VCC pin, this pin here, and bring this pin high. So we're going to tin up here and we're going to tin up here. So that's what we're doing next. So we'll just get the iron and we've got our big old tip on. A load of solder there. That's good. And then over here, we want to do the same. We want plenty of solder on this pin. So we're just going to come in and get that nicely soldered. The sore throat's still clearly here. Okay, next thing to do is we need some wire. So we need to pick a colour. Any colour will do. Well, I've just pulled green, so that's what we're going with. Cut a piece of wire off. Right now this is at least twice more than we need. And we need to solder this end to here. So we'll come in and do that. I think this angle is normally best for me. So let's have a look. I can definitely come in a bit more, and we're going to need a little bit of flux. But where have I put my flux? You see, this is what happens every time. You sit down, you drop things, you lose things. I'm sure I had flux a moment ago. And it's on the floor. Why wouldn't it be? Okay. So yeah, we're going to come in here with our little bit of wire. It doesn't really matter what wire you use here. Some sort of wrapping wire. Something like that. Okay. So there we go. That's nicely soldered now. We've got that on there. And we just want to bring that round and jumper it off of its VCC line down here. So we're going to do just that. We're going to clip this off. Don't need that much. Do that. And then we're going to work out where we do need it. So somewhere around here. That look good. That looks pretty good. So, and then we are going to just should do it. And then we're going to get our iron. A little bit of flux. And hopefully, if we push this 1 second, just need to get this all lined up right. Should do it. Nice. And then just remove the excess, like so. And then we have it. Our little jumpered flash romp. And let's just clean all of this up. And for now, we'll just bring this down a little bit. And let's clean up our little flash romp. It's a bit sticky. So, and just our cart in general. There isn't really a nice area for. Let's just bring this right down actually. Move him out of the way, and I'll just show you what we've got. So we've got our VCC into our basically our enable pin, and yeah, that's that. So this now should be the English ROM all working. So our next thing to do is to test to see whether it does in fact work. So I'm going to get my cloth and just clean it up real quick because it's still incredibly sticky. They always are once they've this has got so much flux and stuff on it from working. Well, I say working, doing stuff like this. Not really work, is it? It's having fun. Okay. So now with our board all cleaned up, we can slot our battery back in and we can grab our cart and we can put it in our cart. We don't need any of this anymore. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lift this out of the way over to the other side of the desk somewhere. And let's clear all of the. Okay. Grab that. We do need the 2 screws for the cart. And we're going to pop our original case back on. And there we have it. A finished cart. And now for the moment of truth. Well, that's a good start. Squaresoft. Final Fantasy. Says press any button. There we go, look. Fighter. And then we've got a thief, a white mage, and a black mage. So, what can he be called? Somewhere down here there's English characters. There they are, look. We'll call him, we're going to call this one Dave. There we go. And then we'll call the thief. Oh, you can change it. Okay, well, thief, we'll call him... What should we call him? We'll call him Fred. White mage. We're just going to call him R. It's too much thinking of actual names. R. And this guy's going to be called this. No. This guy's going to be called B. There we go. End. Okay, start is begin. Party, begin game, yes. Okay, so there we go. It's English enough that we've passed our screen. And let's go speak to someone. Have you seen the Light Warriors anywhere? So there we have it. We have a English copy of Final Fantasy, or English enough that you can actually play the game. Go into this town. This is Cornea. Some of the menus are still in this, but I guess not everything's been translated, but it's more than good enough. The King seats Light Warriors. Are you one of them? Come with me. Anyway, that is how to make a translated Swan game, I guess. There we go. See you in the next one.